जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन बल्लभ गिरिवारधारी जय गोपी जन बल्लभ गिरिवारधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रांजन यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रांजन यमुना तीरवनचारी यमुना तीरवनचारी तीरवनचारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरि हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय हरि जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोर श्रीमदेशी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य डीवीडी फाउंडर आचार्य सेवियर ऑफ द होल वर्ल्ड जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तगण की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री जगन्नाथपुरी क्षेत्रपुरी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। बृहद मृदंग की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। प्रसादम डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। श्री श्री राधा गिरिधारी की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताई की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रमणि की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्याम वेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गौ प्रमानंदे हरि बोल। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज हरे कृष्णा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु एंड गौरांगा। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। So today we are reading from Canto Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 14, text number 1, chapter title King Citraketu's Lamentation. Sri Parikshit Uvacha Rajastama Sarvasya Rajastama Sarvasya Swabhavasya Brahman Vratrasya Papamaha Narayane Bhagavati Katham Dradha Asit Dradha Matihi. Sri Parikshit Uvacha Rajastama Swabhavasya Brahmana Vratasya Papanaha Narayane Bhagavatihi Katham Asit Dridhamatihi. Sri Parikshit Uvacha Rajastamasya Swabhavasya Brahmana Vritasya Papamana Narayane Bhagavatihi Kathamasid Dridhamatihi. Sri Parikshit Uvacha Rajasyatama Swabhavasya Brahmanya Vritasya Papmanaha Narayane Bhagavatihi Kathamasid Dridhamatihi. Sri Parikshit Uvacha Rajastama Swabhavasya Brahman Vritasya Papmanaha Narayane Bhagavatihi Kathamasid Dridhamatihi. Sri Parikshit Uvacha Rajastama Swabhavasya Brahman Vritasya Papmanaha Narayane Bhagavati Kathamasid Dridhamatihi. Sri Parikshit Uvacha Rajastama Swabhavasya Brahman Vritasya Papmanaha Narayane Bhagavatihi Katham Asit Dridhamatihi. Sri Parikshit Uvacha Rajastama Swabhavasya Brahman Vritasya Papmanaha Narayane Bhagavati Kathamasid Dridhamatihi. Sri Parikshit Uvacha Rajastama Swabhavasya Brahman Vritasya Papmanaha Narayane Bhagavatihi Kathamasid Dridhamatihi. Anyone online? Sri Parikshit Uvacha Rajastama Swabhavasya ब्राह्मण वृत्तस्य पाप्मनः नारायणे भगवति कथमासी दृढ़ामतिः. Thank you. Word by word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace HG Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Sri Parikshit Vacha. King Parikshit inquired, Raja of the mode of passion, Tamah, and of the mode of ignorance, Swabhavasya, having a nature, Brahman, O learned Brahmana, Vrittasya, of Vritrashura, Papamanaha, who was supposedly sinful, Narayane, in the Lord Narayana, Bhagavati, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Katham, how, Asit, was there, Dridha, very strong, Mati, consciousness. Translation. King Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, O Lord Brahmana, demons are generally sinful, being obsessed with the mode of passion and ignorance. How then could Vritrasura have attained such exalted love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana? Purport. In this material world, everyone is obsessed with the mode of passion and ignorance. However, unless one conquers these modes and comes to the platforms of goodness, there is no chance of one's becoming a pure devotee. This is confirmed by Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita. Esham tva anantagatam papam jnanam punya karmanam te dandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrata. Quote, person who have acted piously in previous life and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated and who are freed from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. Unquote. Since Vritrasura was among the demons, Maharaj Parikshit wondered how it was possible for him to have become such an exalted devotee. So I'll read introduction also. In this 14th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj asked his spiritual master Sukadeva Goswami how such a demon as Vritrasura could become an exalted devotee. In this connection, the previous life of Vritrasura is discussed. This involves the story of Citraketu and how he was victimized by lamentation because of death of his son. Among many millions of living entities, the number of human beings is extremely small. And among human beings who are actually religious, only some are eager to be liberated from the material existence. Among many thousands of people who desire relief from material existence, one is freed from the association of unwanted persons or is relieved of material contaminations. And among many millions of such related persons, one may become a devotee of Lord Narayana. Therefore, such devotees are extremely rare. Since Bhakti, devotional service, is not ordinary, Maharaj Parikshit was astonished that an Asura could rise to the exalted position of a devotee. Being doubtful, Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, who then described Vritrasura with reference to his previous birth as Citraketu, the king of Surasena. Citraketu, who had no sons, got an opportunity to meet the great sage Angira. When Angira inquired from him about his welfare, the king expressed his moroseness, and therefore, by the grace of the great sage, the king's first wife, Kratdviti, gave birth to a son, who was the cause of both happiness and lamentation. Upon the birth of this son, the king and all the residents of the palace were very happy. The co-wives of Kratdviti, however, were envious, and later they administered poison to the child. Citraketu was overwhelmed by the shock of his son's death. Then Narad Muni and Angira went to see him. Omagyanati mirandhasya jnananjana salakaya Chachurupa urmilitam yena tasmai Sri Guruve namaha मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं तव कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंतकोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। So first of all, thank you for allowing me to speak here, and I request for two things. One, please forgive me for anything I pronounce or speak anything wrong. And second thing is please bless me so that I can speak something in line with previous acharyas and Prabhupada and devotees. So I had made couple of notes with my limited knowledge here, since I'm still trying to learn. So this story which we are reading from, I think, last 2 months, about Lord Indra and his affairs and dealings and with demons, and then how he is going through so many problems, right? And now switching gears here, King Parikshit rightly inquired that how could Vritrasura became, how could he have that consciousness of great exalted devotee at the time of death, right? It is astonishing to anyone who would be interested in the, or even in material people, they may get astonished what is happening here, right? A demon behaving like a devotee at the end of death, which is at the end of life, which is like final test, right? We are all aspiring to prepare for the same thing, to remember Krishna at the time of death. That's the final test. Otherwise, this whole, if we are not able to remember that by the mercy of Krishna and Guru, then the whole affair is useless, because like King Bharat, he couldn't remember, he remembered deer, so he became a deer in next life. But Vritrasura, he was a demon whole life, and then he's becoming a devotee, right? So and we are reading, like I just introduction about Citraketu's life. So Vritrasura was in previous life Citraketu. A lot of people don't believe in previous life nowadays. And I was looking at video of Prabhupada. It's Acharya. It's a video by Bhakti library. Prabhupada explains very nicely that just like we are changing this body, like child, youth, growing, and then body changing, consciousness is same. Maybe consciousness is also changing, but the memory, kind of, you have all the memories of childhood. So it's natural that after death you'll get a next body. This is logical, right? This is something makes sense. Now people ask, like, can you show me the proof? And Shastras give explanation that those tendencies which you have, which you never try to learn, they are there, and you're trying to, good or bad, you're trying to get rid of, or you're trying to enhance, is a proof that there was a past life. And there are so many experimental evidences on past life, near-death experiences. There is whole documentary, devotees have kind of documented whole around that past life, right? So Citraketu, we read that he was king of entire earth, and he has 10 million wives. I mean, having one wife, people are struggling. He has 10 million wives, forget about. And he was king of whole planet, right? Whole world. But he was not happy. And why? Because he doesn't have a son, which means material desire, right? Have son, children's, the wife and families, all material desires. Then Rishi comes, they are very merciful, they come, they understood, he gave, okay, get a son. Okay, do yajna, get a son. This is like ritualistic activity. Then what happens? I'm going to just give a summary, which you're going to read in following chapters and verses. Then he did it, he got a son. Then Rishi, the good thing about devotees is that they inform you honestly that this son is going to be cause of your lamentation and happiness both. So be careful. There is nothing hidden agenda in it, right? But he was happy, just like we get something asking from Guru and Krishna, and we get something by asking, and then we are happy. But the background is something else. Maybe it is not very good. Like Prabhupada says that when he got married, he doesn't like his wife. And then his father told him, it's good that you don't like your wife, because then you can give up when you advance and you become old age, you can easily give up. So sometimes having bad or dislike things in life is good, right? So then he got a son. Son was poisoned because people get envious when you get something very valuable. And even own wives became envious, they poisoned the son. So this is material world, right? And then he again lamenting. And now this time, two rishis comes, Angira and Narad Muni. Because Angira alone was not able to give him what he wanted. So Narad Muni also comes because he can give pure bhakti. He can give him devotional service also. Then he has wonderful prayers and he learns. Then he got darshan of, Anantasesh, Lord Vishnu Narayana. Directly, he is offering prayers, Citraketu, in his life. He was became exalted devotee, and then he was roaming around. And then he happened to meet Lord Shiva in the assembly of rishis. And Lord Shiva was having Mother Parvati on his lap. And then he became envious. And Prabhupada described this is a very nice thing, because I remember from devotees, in LA temple there were some devotees who were married and they were not that much dedicated for the temple, and some brahmachari were criticizing, oh, this guy is married and enjoying all the material life, and they are not doing proper devotional service. And then Prabhupada said that you are envious, you will never get married. You cannot, because since you are envious of other people. So that's what Citraketu did. He became envious. He actually insulted Lord Shiva. Being great Vaishnava Nam Yatha Shambhu, he didn't say any word out of what Citraketu deal with him. And then, but mothers are generally very much reciprocative, so Mother Parvati reciprocate with him, cursing him, that become a demon. You don't qualify to be serving Lord Anantasesa or aspiring to serve Lord Anantasesa in your life. So here you go, you become a demon. So that's what happened to Citraketu. But the good thing happened to him, and which I wanted to quote. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, 40 verse, which is, you're going to pull it out. So this is very famous verse. Neha bhikrama nashovasti prayato na vidiyate swalpamasya asya dharmasya triyate mahateva bhayat. Translation is, in this endeavor there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. This endeavors means bhakti, because Krishna earlier explained in this verse bhakti. So since Citraketu or Vritasura in his life did bhakti, some bhakti, then he fall down because of Vaishnava aparadha he did. But even in body of demon, he was able to remember all the prayers which was at the last at time of death he was offering to Ananta, Lord Narayana. So this is a proof. The Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, is giving proven in the life of Citraketu that he was able to remember everything. And this is one example. But there is a lot of examples of Maharaj Bharat and a lot of deities, Gajendra. There are so many stories full of in Bhagavatam where this verse what Krishna is saying, there is no loss or diminution, is proven, right? Because when we see sometimes some deities may not be born in Brahmin family or may not be born in India, which people say that you naturally get that. But they are very much interested, like most of you, inclined and interested in this process. Maybe this is from past life, because people from India cannot understand this. They cannot even think about this, because even in there, they are not interested on all of this, despite getting all the opportunity. But here's the proof in everyone's life that people became great devotees, exalted devotees, and aspiring that path. And another example, we see whole our foundation, our movement is when Prabhupada came to United States, he was trying to preach, one of the most lower class top people in the community, which is like hippies. And in 15-20 days, in a month, they're becoming sannyasis and brahmacharis and, chanting like anything. This is a proof that in past life, they may be demigods, they may be people coming from Goloka just to serve Prabhupada and mission, and then they are leaving now. They're going back in a very exalted manner. The whole life is an example for us, right? your third generation, fourth generation, to see how in 20 days somebody becomes sannyasi or brahmachari. Like, not possible. 20 days is like thinking about what is going on, what they are singing, Hare Krishna, trying to understand those words, right, for us. But since definitely these devotees of disciples of Prabhupada and people who associated at that time and actively served Prabhupada are surely very exalted devotees in their past life, and they are now completing the course. Like Vrittasura completed the course, and this time when he died, he went back to the Vaikuntha, not Goloka, because he has to still do bhakti. He has to do Krishna bhakti, right? So that is one point. And then I was thinking, and I nowadays I listen audio. I mean audio books while driving, so it helps me to remember a lot of things. It's 30-40 minutes every day, which is good. So I'm listening nowadays the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and interestingly, last week I was hearing about this. How to understand devotees of the Lord's are very rare, because we say it, but in this connection here, Prabhupada and teachings of Lord Chaitanya in chapter, it's an introduction. No, I think it's chapter 1. Let me see. Yeah, teachings to Rupa Goswami. It's chapter 1, I believe. So I'll just read a few from here. Lord Chaitanya elaborated on these teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam by pointing out that there are two kinds of living entities, the eternally liberated and eternally conditioned. The eternally conditioned living entities can be divided into two types, moving and non-moving. Those entities who cannot move, like trees, for example, remain in one place and are classified as non-moving entities. And those that move, such as birds and beasts, are called Jangama, moving entities, and further divided into three categories. So I won't read a lot, but I'll just give you a summary of this, because it's 2 pages. So we know that there are two kinds of people in the world, and one is eternally liberated, one is eternally bound. And this is not this world, this is a whole cosmic manifestation. There are people who are liberated, there are people who are eternally bound. In bound, there are two kinds of moving, non-moving. One, the trees, they cannot move. The birds, beasts, there are people who can move. In the moving one, there are three kinds who can move in sky, who can swim in water, who can move on earth, who can walk on earth. On people, the entities who can walk on earth, the humans are one of the most. I mean, now they can swim and they can fly with aeroplane, but they cannot do longer. 18-hour flight is like whole body is gone. So, and in this ocean, we can't stay from few weeks, like it's like whole problem, right? But in humans, the people who can walk on the land are trillions. There are trillions of them. Humans are few percentage. So there are humans who live like animals. It's in most of them. Like living like animal, they are essentially theoretically animals, practically they tend to be human. Then in humans, there are civilized one. There are only few percentage. And then in civilized one, there are some who are Aryans, Aryans means somebody has interest in scriptures. And there are non-Aryans who doesn't have any interest in scriptures. Then again, few, go down, 1% down, right? Aryans, there could be, maybe interested in scriptures, but there are few who are righteous or pious. Most of them are not pious. They supposed to be in India, there is a whole genetic research going on to prove or disprove the Aryan theory, the migration of people from African continent to Middle East to India, and how the whole thing happened, the migration of species and the humans movement till Australia, like through Pacific. So Aryans, out of Aryans, all the Aryans, there are few only righteous. And if they are righteous, they are engaged in fruitive working. They want something out of it. They want to do ceremonies to get money out, something, right? So even who are righteous, only few people, fruitive workers, a lot of them fruitive workers, and only few get interested in knowledge. Otherwise, they are not interested. They are not interested in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. They want to come, give some money, and give some donation, and then do trading with Krishna or anyone, like Lord Shiva. They do trading, basically. This is trading. And then most of them attach to very much ritualistic activities. These Gyanis, when they advance further, they can understand little bit about absolute truth. And out of those who get little knowledge, empirical knowledge, only few can understand their constitutional position. That is, to understand they are servant of God. And even if they understand they are servant of God, only few can realize Brahman realization, which is trying to merge into effulgence. And most of them want mystic power, yogic power, Brahman realization. This is what's going on in most of people who claim to be liberated. And out of those who interested in Brahman, few get grace of a spiritual master. Few accept a spiritual master. Most of them want to practice, go in Himalaya cave and just sit and then come as a big god and then exploit people, fall it down. Cycle of goes on, right? A roller coaster. And even if people who get spiritual master mercy, only few will want to worship or serve Krishna, because most of them want to be guru again. They don't want to become servant for lifetime. And they most of time get into Vaishnava aparad and they fall down. Even you get a guru's association or mercy, committing offenses will not help, because it will again put into same cycle. This is what happened with Vritasura and Citraketu, Indra. Everyone offended their guru. And out of those who get a spiritual master, only few can approach Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is what Prabhupada writes here at the end, that this is our status, how rare the devotees are who are trying to practice Krishna consciousness. So this is not a cheap thing to get. It's like, if you think from all the living entities on the planet, it's like we are really few, right? That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Only few can understand me. Most of them fall down through this pipeline. This is going filtering, right? So we are very fortunate to have association of devotees, most importantly, because most of time as we understand advance is Krishna consciousness, this tendency comes that now I'm self-sufficient. I can do myself whatever I want to do, because I know Shastra, I have my guru, and now I can just do whatever I want because I have mercy of my guru. But if that happens, that's what Citraketu's got into it. He has a mercy of guru. He got darshan of Narayana. We don't have any darshan of Narayana actually. But then he did Vaishnava Prad, and he kind of dealt with Lord Shiva, who is Vaishnava. He's topmost Vaishnava, and fell it down again with that. But as we read, verse 2.40 says that there is no loss, right? There is no diminution. Wherever person stops, they again start. So it's not like material world. If I don't complete a project, I don't get a credit. This is how the material world works, right? If I don't complete the course, I don't get credit. But in little service into Krishna or Guru or devotees is like additive. There is no depreciation in that, right? But that does not mean, like most of devotees or these you can say that they were devotees but not Vaishnava, because once you become Vaishnava, there is no question of going down. Ideally, that should be the position. But so they commit offense. So we need to be careful and learn that, first of all, material wealth and position, power, family and children cannot give us happiness. This is what actually we know it, but we know most of people don't want to accept it. It's just bitter truth to accept, because once you accept it, then you have to act on it. There is nothing like, can't cheat with mind too much. If the mind is convinced with something, then it will reflect in the action, right? And the second is pride comes before fall down. So the pride in everyone's life, Indra's, Citraketu, even you can see among devotees, the moment pride kick in, the taste for everything goes off. And I can say, based on my experience, because I have been through it. So when I was in doing my doctorate in Mundia, and there was a temple nearby, and I went for 6-month continuous youth program. And at some point I realized maybe this is like getting hypnotic. They're just trying to me, convince me for something which I am not mean for. And a lot of my friends, every weekend they are going out into, theater or eating out, and I would just every Sunday at least go to temple, live with brahmachari, of course nice prasadam, dancing, feasting. Then I realized maybe this is not right. I'm a scientist. Why I'm supposed to be scientist? What I'm doing, right? And then I stopped going. I just stopped going. for a few months. So the way it was there, my apartment was on the other side, my institute was on the other end, and in between there was a temple. So the road used to go next to the temple. So every day I used to even walk, because it was just 1 mile. So I used to walk in night or day, like whenever I used to go. And I used to watch the temple, and then I used to not going. It happened, and I used to go in the weekend with the friends for the party, like going, of course not breaking any offenses, because that's natural training, no meat eating, nothing of those, but it's just hanging out with associating. And in few months, I just got frustrated in a sense that it's the same thing again and again. And then I said, okay. And then I was thinking why I went to do it first place, right? What was the motivation? And realized that the motivation was that I don't want to be left out. I want to be part of that community, of scientific community, so that people like me and I don't feel isolated. But then at the end, you realize that you are anyways going to be isolated, because the moment that those material dealings are over, nobody cares. For example, I had 20, 50 friends at that time. Now nobody even messages in 1 year where those friends are, right? It was false. It's temporary, right? Then I came back again after a few months. I came back, apologized to deities. Of course, I didn't tell. Brahmacharis don't get into what did you do. They said, okay, continue. This is what the nature, right? We don't judge people just because they left and coming back. They are coming back, which is good. That's it. There is no question of what did you do, what happened to you. That's okay, right? So this is what happens in most of time. Even living in temples, sometimes I lived 1 year in temple in St. Louis. The dealings are difficult. The temple is like a fire. It's like purifying place. And then the reactions, the whole dirt is like steering. The dirt comes out. So the temple president there, Lal Gopal Prabhu, he used to say, it's like you have a sugarcane juice and you want to make sugar. So what they do, they heat and they stir, so that all the dirt comes on the top, and then they throw out the dirt and slowly it becomes pure, like a gur or jaggery or the sweetness and the concentrated, right? This is what happens when you are in spiritual life. It's like a steering, and we are all going through this purification. The dirt will come out. Dirt is going to come out anyways. But then, if we meet are fortunate to have some devotees who doesn't judge and who are compassionate, right? A lot of devotees, most of the time you may not find, practically I can say you, because even other devotees who are there, they are going through that purification. Nobody is pure, first of all. So everybody is going through that purification, including dealing with anyone. And then if you get someone who is very kind, compassionate, and forgives all those offenses, that's how we can continue progress, otherwise kicked out. This is I have practically seen there also, everywhere I see that this happens. People kick it out because they are not able to tolerate that heating and steering of that process, right? Because it oozes out. Even if you want to plug it, one day it will blast and just go out of it, right? So we need to be careful really with Vaishnava Aparad, because this can really kick off like anything. And I went out of the temple at that time because maybe I committed some offense to someone. I was thrown out. Krishna threw me away. And then after that time, I always pray, then do whatever you want to do with me, but to at least to Prabhupada, I pray, my wife and me, that do whatever you want to do, but don't throw me away from your association, devotees association. I know I do all kind of nonsense, but tolerate me and just keep me there. I don't want to thrown away, because they can throw away and then whole life is great dangerous, like Vitrasura, right? Hellish body, and this, what happened, right? And then another point I want to say quickly in 5 minutes. So a lot of devotees or as a practicing devotees, we think in Bhagavad Gita 2:40 it says there is no loss and elimination. So let's do this, right? We make our plan. I have done enough bhakti. I got initiation. I have been doing from 10 years, got Bhakti Sastri. Now I'm counselor or whatsoever. And then let me enjoy a little material happiness, because what's wrong? Anyways, it's Yukta Vairagya. Actually, we don't know how to apply Yukta Vairagya, but we just try to imitate that. Okay, what's wrong in it? Like, let's enjoy a little bit. Even if I am not completing the course, next lifetime I will continue. What's wrong, right? I'll get in birth in nice family, rich family, can continue that, right? And Prabhupada says that in that connection that why to give a chance? Because Bharat Maharaj did the same. He fall down. So what is a guarantee that in next lifetime we will continue at the same level? There is no guarantee. Only guarantee that you will get in right place in space and time, but there is no guarantee of activity, because unless you want to do it, because there is a free will, Krishna is not going to force. Nobody going to force in that process. So Vritrasura, he has very exalted position in his past life. We are nowhere. We have not seen, Lord Ganesha, what to think of Lord Narayana. I mean, there is no Lord Indra or even Lord Pavanadeva or demigods like lower level. In Pichasas we cannot see what to think of, those Asuras we cannot see. We cannot see Ravana. So we are not nothing anywhere. But so therefore, we should, at least I can speak of myself, that try to do our best. That's it. Because there are so many things not under control. Our senses are not under control. What to controlling others and others' behavior and other people. And we can't control our breathing for a few minutes. Forget about senses. Like just breathing control is like somebody can control for 20 minutes. They are Guinness Book of World Record. Like okay, you are the most exalted person, right? So we should, Prabhupada say that complete the course in this lifetime, because there is no guarantee. So why not to take that urgency and try to complete the course with best of our efforts? Because Prabhupada again says that God helps those who help themselves, right? If we are not ready to help ourselves, don't help anyone else, just help yourself. Other people get help naturally, because those qualities get reflected, and then with those qualities people get help, not with any material thing that, okay, I want to help by money, I want to help by power, I want to help by my speech, my nice lecture, speaking very eloquently, citing all the verses, and people may get impressed. Maybe temporarily they may appreciate, nice Prabhu, you did very nice, but it's not helping me, it's not helping them, because then they will feel, next time they will meet a devotee who is not citing a lot of verses, they will feel, this devotee is not advanced, maybe this doesn't know anything. So what I'm doing, right? So telling the truth, and especially not judging a Vaishnava, right? Because Lord Shiva, though he is having Mother Parvati on the lap, somebody thinking, oh, this is materialistic guy, like what he's doing. And where he's sitting in the assembly of all the rishis, and they are praying to Lord Shiva. This is hypnotic for person who doesn't know about principle or the philosophy behind those activities of Vaishnavas, right? Many times we meet devotees, they don't have nice dhoti, they don't have nice tilak, or they don't have they cannot speak a lot. Like they're not very learned or very outwardly looking Vaishnava. But we don't understand what is there in their heart, right? We really we don't have capacity actually to know. Only acharyas and gurus, and they can understand. They have a chakshu which they can see through around the mind, right? We cannot. So we have to be very careful with dealing with devotees, especially early stage, because if you don't get into class, there is no chance of learning, right? So early is more, and then as we advance, then more and more, because we can see a lot of examples. You may have darshan of Lord Narayana, but if you commit offense, Lord Narayana gonna kick you off below anywhere. So, and then become eternally conditioned, or get a body like Vritrasura, do all the karma, all these problems, and go through this problem, right? Nobody wants to go through problems actually in life, right? So that's a whole kind of summary that we should be careful dealing with Vaishnavas, as we see in Indra's and Citraketu and Vritrasura's life, and guard against those offenses, because we know that our Bhakti Lata bees can grow, but the mad elephant of this aparad can destroy the whole garden of your whole devotional life, right? So we can try, because sometimes it's out of anger or Indra commit offense, it's okay, but intentionally no. And even if happens, it's better to kind of because Vritasura, he commit Citraketu commit offenses, and then he was praying to Parvati, please forgive me. I just committed out of my own, nature. So then he got, okay, get a body of Vritasura, but you will remember. You will remember your Lord, and you go back, right? So that's a lesson, and thank you so much for patient listening. We can have some discussion question. All
Jai, well, thank you, Prabhu. It was a very nice class. Thank you for your preparation. I liked when you were talking about your personal experience living in the ashram for a year and talking about what that process is like and using some nice analogies.
Thank you.
You kicked off this new chapter, and thank you for reading the summary. So if we can kind of encapsulate the inquiry here, the last sentence of the translation is the question, how then could Vritrasura have attained such exalted love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Ryan, so how would you summarize what we heard today by answering that question? How then could Vritrasura have attained such exalted love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead? When the beginning of it says, because demons, they're not usually focused on that. So how do you think he did?
Yeah, so I think there are three things which I see. Thank you for asking that question. I know you know it, but you're just asking for everyone. So same thing if you see example of Prahlad Maharaj. Practically you can see he was born from the womb of a female demon. Like she was the wife of Hiranyakashipu. And then how he became such an Mahajana. Like what to think of devotee, but he became Mahajana, and Prahlad we just celebrated, right? So three things happen in the both of situation, whether Vritrasura or Prahlad Maharaj. First, they had their pious deeds in their previous life. Citraketu, he was Citraketu, right? So he has some pious he had darshan of Lord Narayana. So second, he got mercy of Guru, right? Like Citraketu got mercy of Narada Muni, and Narada Muni also gave mercy to Prahlad Maharaj, right? And so though the Parvati cursed him to become, by offending Lord Shiva to become a demon, but since, as we read, 2nd chapter 40 verse, that there is no loss in domination. So great assurance for us that even if by mistake or by arrangement of providence or Krishna or Guru, we get into such situation, there is a rescue. There is a rescue. So that's how he could attain such an exalted love for Supreme Personality of God and Narayana. It's still Narayana, because not Krishna, because that's rare. That's he has to again serve Narayana in his planet, and then if he desires, then he can go back. Because sometimes people become in comfort zone and want to be living that way. Now I'm initiated, I am devotee, now let's be in comfort zone. Anyways, what care? Everybody will respect me, and now let me just continue. I don't want to do further. I don't want to study any books. I'm not interested in all this. Too many things talking about different caste, creed, culture, Mahatajis are not too much respected, because in Bhagavatam many places says that mothers or females are less intelligent, so let's not get into all this business. There's just, so many things going on. I'm just saying, so comfort zone could be killer in bhakti. Even in professional life, if I get in comfort zone, I will be kicked out of my job, because I need to learn, advance in my profession. Otherwise, I'm outdated. Same thing in bhakti. I mean, I may not get outdated, but there is no growth. There will be no taste. There will be no. And the best thing. Why do we practice all this, right? Why do we read? First, to help ourselves, and our tradition, our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is to preach others. We just don't want to become jnanis and just meditate and sit down. We want to give to others, because sharing is caring. If you share, you care. Otherwise, you just, what is the difference between other sampradayas, right? That's why we go on the street. People criticize us. People say bad word. We still want to give books. They're fully drunk and then trying to talk, and then we close. Though we may not like it, but we have to smile and say, okay, Hare Krishna, please come with this card. Okay, come join us sometime on weekend. What is that? That is compassion, practical compassion. I mean, I can talk hours for compassion, but how much we how much we practice that. Everything is practice. If we don't practice, it's just theory, and theory is sentiment, just philosophy, right? Without just knowledge, without philosophy is like sentiment, right? Yeah. Other way, okay, yeah. So, yeah, that's what we see here.
That was a really good point you made about how Vritrasura now is going to go to Vaikuntha and worship Narayan, and if he so desires, maybe progress to Krishna. And it made me think of this thought that in the beginning of this saga, Indra gets the armor from Narayan, right? And then he uses that armor to defeat Vritrasura, who's now going to worship Narayan on a Vaikuntha planet.
Yeah.
But it seems, I don't know if that's a contradiction or if it's full circle, but what do you think of that? Like,
yeah,
he got the armor from Narayan to destroy him, to bring him up to Narayan so then he can worship him.
That's interesting. Thank you for that context. I didn't thought about. Yes. So when I remember a little bit, I don't have full memory, but when Indra went to Narayan after getting defeated again, please protect me, Vritrasura is here. And he was trembling practically. And then Lord Narayana says, I'm not going to go personally, but here is the Dichi. And go to him, get his bone, make the Vajra, and then kill him. Right? And it was charged with Narayan because the Dichi is not an ordinary person. His body whole charged with Narayana's power. So that's how he could make that bone. Anybody, we cannot imitate like, okay, take someone bones and let's take Vajra. This is out of it, right? Like we can't. So yes, maybe this is a whole Leela happening, right? For teaching us that Krishna can act many ways, right? It's like therapeutic hand, right? Like he was killed. Somebody may say, oh no, and when we read, I think earlier, when Indra was completely destroyed by actually Vritrasura, and Vritrasura was not about to be killed by Indra, was frustrated actually. And then Vritrasura is saying, come and kill me. You should kill me with that Vajra which you have in your hand. This Vajra can kill me. But Indra was not confident about Vajra even, because he knew that this person had destroyed practically my whole army. What am I going to do alone? Then Vritrasura is encouraging Indra to kill him. Why? Because he knew, he has a faith in that Vajra, Narayana, that if I am killed by Narayana and Vajra, I am going back to the Godhead. But the Indra was a bit underconfident. No, maybe, yeah, he's just trying to trick me, just maybe making fun of me because he has just destroyed everything of mine, right? So this is at the happening, right? Thank you. Okay. Any questions online? Don't think so. Today is Thursday. People preparing for Friday. Thank you so much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. God Hari Hari Bol.